Imagine being born into one of the most powerful families in the South, a family so tied to the legal system that they didn't just influence the law, they were the law. For over a century, the Murdoch name meant power, privilege, and control. They controlled the courts, influenced law enforcement, and they held an iron grip over an entire region of South Carolina. For generations, no one dared to question them. But what happens when the most powerful man in the room believes he can get away with anything? Millions of dollars embezzled, 5 lives lost under mysterious circumstances. A crime so shocking, it shook the entire country. For nearly 100 years, the Murdoch family ruled the Low Country. And then, Alex Murdoch destroyed it all. This is the insane true story of how one corrupt lawyer stole millions, deceived his closest friends, and lost everything in the most shocking downfall in modern legal history. To understand how Alex Murdoch got away with so much, you have to go back nearly a century to the beginning of a legal dynasty. In 1920, Alex's great-grandfather, Randolph Murdoch Sr., founded a small law firm in Hampton County. It started as just another legal practice, but it quickly became a courtroom empire. Within a decade, the Murdoch family had gained total control over the 14th Judicial Circuit. And when I say total control, I mean unchecked, absolute power. For nearly 87 years, every chief prosecutor in the region was a Murdoch. Randolph Sr. built the foundation. Randolph Jr. expanded it. Randolph III turned it into a legal powerhouse. And then came Alex Murdoch. He was born into privilege. He was raised to win. But deep down, Alex was different. He wasn't just ambitious, he was greedy. He didn't just want power, he wanted money. He didn't just want respect, he wanted control. And most of all, he wanted to keep his family's empire intact, at any cost. For years he did just that. He never worried about money, he never worried about consequences, he never heard the word no. Unlike his ancestors, Alex wasn't a brilliant legal mind. He didn't have his grandfather's discipline, he didn't have his father's legal instincts. What he did have? A dangerous addiction to power. From the moment he stepped into the family firm, he wasn't interested in practicing law, he was interested in exploiting it. Instead of serving clients, he stole from them. Instead of fighting for justice, he manipulated it. Instead of defending the law, he used it as a weapon. And for years, nobody stopped him. Because when you control the courts, who's going to hold you accountable? To the outside world, Alex was a respected lawyer, a family man with a wife and 2 sons, a successful attorney with generational wealth, and a philanthropist who donated to local charities. But behind the scenes, he was stealing millions from his own law firm. He was scamming his own clients, families who trusted him. And he was addicted to opioids, spiraling deeper into destruction. And the worst part, nobody questioned him. Judges wouldn't touch him. The police wouldn't investigate him. His own colleagues feared him. He wasn't just protected by power, he was shielded by it. And for over a decade, Alex used that protection to fuel his greed. But the deeper his crimes went, the more desperate he became to keep them hidden. Alex didn't just steal money. He mastered financial fraud at a level even the FBI didn't see coming. He used loopholes in the system to funnel millions into his own pockets, and he did it all while pretending to be a champion of justice. In order for me to keep making videos, I would appreciate it if you could subscribe and like this video for the YouTube algorithm. The 3 ways he stole money. The fake lawsuit scam. Alex convinced his clients to file wrongful death and injury lawsuits. He promised huge settlements, and when the money came in, he pocketed it. The insurance fraud scheme. He would stage fake lawsuits against his own clients. He'd tell them he was helping them collect money. Instead, he stole every penny. The secret bank accounts. He created phony financial institutions under fake names. He had checks deposited into these accounts, money that was supposed to go to victims. Over the years, he funneled at least $9 million into his personal slush fund. It was the perfect crime, until it wasn't. For over a decade, Alex's fraud was untouchable. But in 2015, the first cracks in his empire started to show. And over the next 6 years, 5 deaths would be tied back to him. For years, Alex's name was whispered in connection to suspicious deaths. 5 different cases, 5 lives lost. And each time, the investigation stalled. The truth was buried. No one dared to challenge the Murdicks until everything fell apart. Case number 1, the mysterious roadside death of Stephen Smith. In 2015, 19-year-old Stephen Smith was found lifeless on a rural road in Hampton County. The case was officially ruled a hit and run, but investigators didn't believe it. His injuries didn't match a car accident. No skid marks, no vehicle debris, a cause of passing that seemed off. Whispers in town linked Buster Murdick, Alex's oldest son, to the case. Stephen had connections to the Murdick family. Some believed his passing wasn't an accident, but the case, it went cold, no arrests, no answers. And then, 3 years later, case number 2, the accidental death of the housekeeper. This happened at the Murdick estate in 2018. Gloria Satterfield had worked for the Murdick family for over 20 years. She was a trusted housekeeper, practically part of the family. And then, in February 2018, she suffered a fatal fall at the Murdick estate. Or at least that's what Alex Murdick claimed. He told investigators Gloria tripped over the family dogs. He told her grieving sons to sue him for insurance money. And when they won a $4.3 million settlement, Alex Murdick stole every penny. The Satterfield family never saw a dime. The insurance money vanished, and Alex kept living like nothing happened. Case number 3, the boat crash that shattered everything. February 24th, 2019. This was the moment everything started to unravel. Paul Murdick, Alex's youngest son, was reckless and out of control. He was underage, intoxicated, and driving a boat at full speed. The boat slammed into a bridge, throwing 19-year-old Mallory Beach into the water. Her body was found a week later. Paul was arrested. The Murdick name was officially in the spotlight, and for the first time, Alex couldn't make it go away. But then, in 2021, Paul and Maggie Murdick were gone. June 7th, 2021, Moselle, South Carolina. By this point, Alex Murdick's world was crumbling. His son Paul was facing criminal charges for the 2019 boat crash that took Mallory Beach's life. His financial frauds were on the verge of being exposed. His once unshakable empire was collapsing under years of corruption. And then, 2 of his family members were gone. At 10:06 p.m, Alex Murdick made a chilling 911 call. "My wife and son have been shot." He claimed he arrived home to find Maggie and Paul lying near the dog kennels on their massive 1,700-acre property. He said he had no idea who could have done this. He sobbed on the call, sounding frantic, panicked. But the evidence? It told a very different story. Paul Murdick, just 22 years old, had been struck twice. Maggie Murdick, 52, was found just a few feet away, hit multiple times. 2 different weapons were used. Paul was struck with a shotgun. Maggie was hit with a blackout rifle. Who would carry 2 separate weapons into a crime like this? It was personal. There was no sign of forced entry. Nothing was stolen. It looked like an execution, not a random act of violence. And when the 911 call was examined closely, something felt off. Alex claimed he was visiting his mother, who had advanced Alzheimer's at the time of the murders. He said he had no idea what happened, that he just came home and found them. He insisted he had nothing to do with it. But then, the forensics team pulled a major breakthrough. Paul had recorded a Snapchat video at 8:44 p.m. In the background, Alex's voice. 11 minutes later, Paul and Maggie were gone. How was Alex at his mother's house if he was heard at the crime scene minutes before the murders? His alibi was unravelling, but that wasn't the only thing investigators found. By the time Maggie and Paul were gone, Alex was a man drowning in fraud, debt, and deception. Millions of dollars had gone missing from his law firm. And in just a few days, his entire empire was about to be exposed. Was this murder a cover-up? A desperate attempt to gain sympathy? If Paul was gone, so was the boat crash trial. If Maggie was gone, he controlled her financial assets. If he was a grieving husband and father, maybe the investigations would stop. Did he stage his own family's murders to escape his own downfall? Investigators thought so, and soon they found the smoking gun. In 2021, the FBI and South Carolina investigators dug deeper. While Alex Murdaugh was playing the grieving husband, investigators kept looking at his financial records. And what they found was a massive criminal operation that had been going on for over a decade. Millions embezzled from clients, fake lawsuits, insurance fraud, checks forged in his name. He was a criminal mastermind. He had stolen nearly $9 million. He had drained money from the estates of victims and manipulated clients, judges, and his own law firm. And now, his own firm had fired him. His financial fraud was about to be exposed in court. His dynasty was crumbling before his eyes. The walls were closing in. And then, he tried to pull off one last scam. September 4th, 2021. 3 months after the murders of Maggie and Paul, Alex Murdaugh dialed 911 again. This time, "I've been shot." He claimed a mystery gunman pulled up on the side of the road and tried to take him out. He said he barely survived. He wanted police to believe someone was after him. But when investigators arrived, nothing made sense. The wound was superficial. There was no suspect. And within hours, the entire story unravelled. The truth was that Alex had hired a former client to stage the scene. The plan was to fake his own passing, so his surviving son Buster could collect a $10 million life insurance policy. But there was one problem. The hitman failed. His final scam had collapsed. And within days, he admitted to the setup. He was arrested for insurance fraud, and his entire life was officially over. But he had even bigger problems. He wasn't just facing financial crimes anymore. He was now the prime suspect in the murders of his own wife and son. And soon he would stand trial in front of the entire world. January 2023, the state of South Carolina versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh. The courtroom was packed. Dozens of cameras lined the back of the room. Reporters scribbled down notes, knowing this was a once-in-a-lifetime case. Millions of people across the world tuned in, watching one of the most powerful men in the South fight for his life. At the defense table, Alex Murdaugh sat still, dressed in a dark suit, his once pristine image of power now replaced with the face of a man who had lost everything. The prosecution was about to show the world exactly who he really was. The case was simple. Alex had lied about his alibi. He was at the crime scene minutes before the murders. He had a clear financial motive. His empire was crumbling, and he was the only one who stood to benefit from their deaths. But what made this case different from any other murder trial? It wasn't just about what happened that night. It was about decades of corruption. This was about a man who had built his life on deception, manipulation, and control. And now, it was all coming back to haunt him. Prosecutors didn't just argue that Alex was guilty. They painted a story. They showed his web of lies and used his own words against him. The key evidence that destroyed his alibi, the Snapchat video, the moment that exposed him, the lying alibi, the story that fell apart. Alex originally claimed he was taking care of his mother at the time of the murders, but phone records, car data, and witness testimony completely contradicted his version of events. His mother's caregiver testified that Alex only stayed for 20 minutes and even tried to pressure her into lying about how long he was there. Gunshot residue. Residue was found on Alex's hands, clothes, and the steering wheel of his car. He claimed it was from handling firearms earlier that day, but experts debunked that. There was no reason for residue to still be there, unless he had fired a weapon much more recently. The financial crimes. His law firm was investigating missing funds. His biggest secrets were about to go public, and Paul's upcoming boat crash trial could have uncovered everything. If Paul was gone, the case disappeared. If Maggie was gone, Alex controlled all her assets. Maybe no one would suspect him. But he didn't expect one thing. Investigators were smarter than he thought. The jury wasn't going to fall for his act, and the walls were closing in. Alex's lawyers had no choice but to go all in. They needed to convince the jury that Alex was a loving father, a grieving husband, and a man wrongly accused. They tried to argue that law enforcement targeted him too quickly. They claimed there was no direct evidence linking him to the crime. But the problem? Alex had already destroyed his own credibility. He had lied about his whereabouts the night of the murders. He had been exposed as a serial liar and financial criminal. So in a shocking move, they put Alex Murdaugh on the stand. The courtroom was silent. Cameras zoomed in on his face. Every juror was locked in. This was his last chance to convince them. "I didn't do it." For the first time, Alex admitted he had lied about his alibi. He admitted he was at the dog kennels before the murders, just like the Snapchat video had proved. He admitted he had misled investigators for months. But he still insisted he had nothing to do with it. The jury wasn't buying it. If he lied about being there, what else was he lying about? If he was capable of stealing millions from his clients, what else was he capable of? Why should they believe a single word he said? His own testimony backfired spectacularly, and just a week later, the jury gave him their answer. The jury deliberated for less than 3 hours. The decision? Guilty. Guilty on all counts. Guilty of murdering Maggie and Paul, guilty of staging an alibi, and guilty of deceiving the world. His sentence would be life in prison without parole. The Murdaugh dynasty, once untouchable, was finished. The power, the money, the reputation, it was all gone. Alex Murdaugh would die behind bars. As the verdict was read, he didn't cry, he didn't beg. He just sat there, stone-faced, finally exposed for who he really was. The truth had caught up to him. For nearly 100 years, the Murdaugh name ruled the courts. Now, Alex Murdaugh sits in a prison cell. His law firm no longer exists. His crimes will be remembered forever. No matter how powerful you are, the truth always wins. And the truth, Alex Murdaugh wasn't just a corrupt lawyer. He was the most corrupt lawyer in history. This was one of the most shocking legal scandals in history. But what if I told you there was another lawyer, even more corrupt? Click the next video. You won't believe what happened next.